Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Great, great. My name is Kevin. I'm the host of When Shift Happens, one of the most credible podcasts in Bitcoin and crypto, and I'm super happy today to be with the Trezor C-level team to talk about, obviously, the launch of the new Trezor Safe 7. Just before we get, there's going to be a bunch of questions from you that we're going to answer. I just want to understand the crypto level of people. So I'm just going to ask you to raise your hand. There's going to be three categories: people who are experts, people who are medium, and people who are beginner. So then I can basically make sure that everyone understands each question, because there is some question that even I don't understand. So let's start with the beginners. Can you raise your hands? There's a few. Okay, beautiful. Medium and experts. Okay, great, amazing. So let's start with the basics. Can you please, each of you, introduce yourself and share your role in the launch of the new device?
I didn't hear that, so I will leave it on you.
I started in the company as a product manager on the software side. My journey then went through other roles, including the chief product officer, and then the founders entrusted me with the role of my role, and I work directly with the product teams on anything product related in the company. I'm still sort of product person in my heart, so that's my role.
Okay, I'm the next. So I'm Tomáš Sušánka. Usually people call me Sushi, as you might have noticed. And I'm the CTO. I've joined the company 8 years ago, and I've basically started as a firmware engineer with some cryptography background. I've studied also computer security and cryptography and all that. And I've started as a firmware developer, and then I went the managerial way and ended up as a CTO, where I replaced Stick about 4 years ago.
Yes, so I'm Danny. I work 3 years now in Trezor, and I'm responsible for sales and marketing and BD. And my part into contributing to this is not so much myself, this beautiful event and experience that the team did really in a fantastic way, and basically just bringing the product to market.
My name is Adam Budinský. I'm head of product hardware, and I joined the company 3 years ago as a mechanical design engineer. But then I jumped on the role of head of product hardware, so now responsible for all the hardware we make.
Beautiful. So before we get into a bunch of these questions here, some of which will definitely need some help to understand, let's understand when the work on this new device started and what were the initial motivations.
I can kick it off maybe by saying that it started actually even years before the actual development of the device started. Mm-hmm. So I would say 4 years maybe, roughly. And then Adam joined the company a couple years ago, 3 years-ish?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
And then that's when the hardware operations really kicked off, which is interesting because we are a hardware company, but the software team has always been historically bigger and more impactful in that sense. And then Adam basically started the hardware team. And I think 2 years ago is when we saw the first, what you saw in the video was the first kind of drafts of...
first concepts and those.
Yeah, please go on.
Yes, so we started those 2 years ago, really hands-on on the product. And the whole idea behind that was to catch on the market of wireless hardware wallets. And to really have this flagship product, first flagship product in our portfolio. And and also another miracle was that Tropic happens along the way, and we were able to incorporate it into the Trezor Safe 7.
So I have a question from Bart. What happened to Trezor Safe 4 and 6?
They are dead.
Yeah, maybe I'll try that. I hear a lot that we sometimes have numbers that people are not always accustomed to. So we do the naming in marketing, so I should probably talk about it. But like there's like some logic where you have a frame of numbers from 0 to 10, and you try to slot in certain products with a long-term vision. So when you build a portfolio for many, many years, you want to ensure that it leaves space for other products, so it all fits together. I think the easiest analogy is, for example, BMW Series 3, 5, 7, which is kind of, in that sense, similar. So the idea is that if other products come that might not be higher or lower, but there's also space in the middle. And when we launched this new range, it was with a family name called Safe series. So Safe series is the series kind of family name where it all falls under, and then the numbers slot in. So you have to wait in the future if some other number will pop up.
I have a question from myself before I continue with the other ones. There's this very important thing, which is quantum resistance. It's talked a lot also with all these blockchains, right? So it's very important for obviously a device to be quantum resistant, but it's just one part of the thing. These blockchains also need to be quantum resistant, obviously, otherwise there's going to be big problems. How much are you guys involved into that, or how much do you have control, or do you just, is it kind of everyone kind of hopes the other one will do their job, or how does it work? And maybe we can talk about Bitcoin more specifically, because obviously Trezor has a very big history with Bitcoin. You said you're a Bitcoin developer before. So basically, maybe try to help us understand this a bit better.
Yeah, sure. So it's a big topic, so I will try to keep it under 20 minutes. Yeah, first of all, you said it correctly. The Bitcoin or other crypto projects, they are not ready for the quantum threat just yet. And it's totally fine. We have time. I mean, I don't want to scare anyone, but I think, it's something that we should tackle as a community. And I'm really glad that the discussion is starting. In Bitcoin currently, there is, this initiative behind BIP 360. Now, in spring, it was, when I was reading it, it's changed quite a lot ever since. So, there are some changes, and then it's going to be another BIP that's going to bring those post-quantum addresses. So, the discussion is starting. I am actually in touch with the people behind the BIP. We've done some benchmarks on Trezor to know whether these algorithms, whether we can run them on Trezor. Long story short is, yes, we can. You can see the benchmarks on GitHub, of course, if you're interested. And yeah, so it's like slowly ramping up, and I think that's fine. We have time, and it's something that we're gonna keep an eye on, because it actually can impact the usability to some degree, because these signatures, it takes longer time to produce them. So, it can be some UX challenge as well. So we keep an eye, and we couldn't really help much because we've been doing this device for the past few months. But I would like to help anywhere where we can. So yeah, we're in touch, and we'll see where it leads us. And it's going to be a long process, by the way. It's not going to happen overnight, right? It's something for the following years.
I have a question from an anonymous person, a bit more simple to understand. It's about Bluetooth and the device. Does Bluetooth make the device less secure for cold storage?
Yeah, so, I mean, that's exactly why we introduced the Trezor Host protocol. So, I mean, Bluetooth itself, I don't want to say that Bluetooth is insecure by definition, because there's been also, a lot of progress into making it more secure. But we wanted to, be really sure on that, and that's why we've introduced the Trezor Host protocol. So we're having like an end-to-end encryption from the device to whatever computer or mobile you're using, and the whole thing is, encrypted. For those that have been on the previous talk, we're using the noise protocol, which is kind of famous in the cryptography realm. And so there's really a lot of good tech behind it. But yeah, also like to add, of course, if you're to some degree worried about the wirelessness, you can always get the cable version as well, right? But we really did the best, and I personally wouldn't be worried about the wireless security, because again, you are you're in control, and you allow which devices and which applications would talk to the device. So I believe it's all good.
Question for the CEO, probably from Yana, Crypto Queen. What's the responsibility of Trezor, the company, in educating mainstream and its first-time users about the real meaning of crypto?
So I believe the role is big, and we have our space in educating our users for sure. And I would say mainly by delivering great products, because I believe I'm a huge believer in like free markets and competition and all that. And if ETFs, as an extreme example, because there are other ways, but if ETFs are much more simpler, then it is a competition on its own as well to the whole industry, or the pure ownership of Bitcoin and crypto. So I believe, Trezor Safe 7 is kind of a testament to our commitment to making self-custody really user-friendly and cool, sleek, almost sexy to a degree, because it is a premium device at an accessible price point. And so I think that's our way. But also we have educational activities as well. So our colleagues today talk about the Trezor Academy, that we actually educate in places where it's needed the most, in the Global South. And we also have Trezor Expert, which is sort of one-on-one service where you can get personalized advice on how to start with self-custody. So education is definitely a big part, and it's important for us. And maybe just let me throw a couple numbers, because again, free market and all that. And so I talked already in the presentation as well a little bit about the industry being maybe 600 million people. So that's roughly the estimate of the whole crypto industry. And yet hardware wallets are maybe 2% of that, right? So it's still kind of small, kind of niche. And I think that's exactly what we are after, to address more people in this market and persuade them by providing amazing experiences and amazing security and amazing privacy to take seriously self-custody and get into it.
Maybe not just cold wallet related, but more this kind of relationship we have with the outside world, like the normal people, or kind of normies, we call them sometimes. How do you think we're really doing as an industry to promote crypto? Do you think we're doing well? Do you think we could do better? What do you think we could do better?
So you asked at the beginning of what is our roles. So let me show you another part of my role, and I think it's an excellent question for Danny. So Danny, could you please?
Yeah, so as an industry, I don't think we're doing a good job. When I mean like the whole industry, I think naturally there's a lot of pull to like attention game, and I think the principles are somewhat on a trend sometimes to get a bit lost. The self-custodial is one of those core principles, and we have to have a voice and a strong education in there. And I do think in generally, like the industry is always struggling in that sense. I'm kind of seeing these trends of hyper gambling and a lot of even like getting away from self-custodial and away from decentralization. So I think there's a strong need for strong brands and strong communicators to kind of bring them back to the core ethos of why this industry was built. So yeah, to answer your question, I think it should improve. I think there are a lot of good actors in this space who are trying to do that, but I also think they're sometimes snowed under with the kind of attention game that everybody tries to put their head up, and to the same point that not a lot of use cases find real product market fit. And this is something that I think is the challenge currently.
Back to the device. Do you support seed splitting? Can you maybe explain what seed splitting means and then answer the question?
Oh, sorry.
Seed splitting. I can answer.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I assume that what we mean by seed splitting is something we call multi-share, by which you can sort of distribute the risk or make it lesser in a way that you create more shares with the same sort of secret, and then you can back to it by using a certain threshold. So as an example, you would have 3 shares, you would distribute them in a location, and then you need, for example, to recover those private keys. So that's a standard that is called Slip 39, and we introduced it to the world. And yeah, so I hope I'm answering the question.
Good. Yeah. Anyone not happy with the question? With the answer, sorry. If anyone not happy with the answer, raise your hand and we'll make a bit of an effort. I think people are happy, so I'm happy.
Awesome.
Does Trezor 7 support the Anti-Exfil Protocol? Can you explain what that is? Because even I don't know what this is. And then answer.
Yeah, I guess that's on me. So this is like a cryptography feature where you can prove that you're generating the nonce in a secure manner and you're not actually leaking it to the outside world. And there are basically 2 ways how to protect against that. Number 1 is to have deterministic builds, which is exactly what we're having. So anyone can, check that we are generating the nonce using some standardized method. So anyone can verify, and that's the choice we opt in. Or the second option, that's exactly what you've mentioned. So we opted for the first one, but honestly, we do have a pull request on GitHub, and we need to get back to it, and we'll probably merge it later this year because it keeps... people are asking about that. I think the fix using the deterministic builds is sufficient. But yeah, I mean, this question sometimes pop up, so I think we're going to implement it as well, even though it's redundant, but yeah, why not?
So I have one here, an anonymous again. So I'm a bit surprised that the seed is leaving the secure element at all. Looking from the outside, I would think the secure element is doing the signing.
Yeah, so I mean, our architecture is designed exactly this way. So you have the secure elements that, when you enter the PIN, they're going to reveal the secret. And the idea behind that is that, once you enter the PIN, then it doesn't really hurt the threat model to put it into the main chip, because if the attacker has the PIN code, they can send the funds away right away, right? So in our threat model, it works in a sense that when the device is turned off and when it's locked, then you cannot get to the wallet backup unless you extract the secrets from the secure element. But then once you actually know the PIN, then the attacker could just easily send the funds away as well, right? So then we believe it is okay to pass it on to the main chip and work with it further, because it actually gives you a lot of other good properties, and it also allows such a beautiful display. So the security is always a trade-off between a number of things, and I think that once you enter the PIN, then it's totally fine to reveal the backup, because, as mentioned, like the attacker could send it right away anyway.
I have a question from International Business Times UK. This is for everyone in the panel, so let's ask maybe 2 out of you 4 to answer. What is the most important insight or one key takeaway you hope we carry with us after this event?
Well, okay, I'll try. I think the one most important thing is the self-custody message. It is that we need awesome hardware wallets that are innovative and kind of break the trend and innovate in the self-custody space to ensure that we have the tools, the freedom tech tools there to support the people in crypto to self-custody. And that's what I hope they get out of this.
For me, it's the most secure architecture hardware wallet that's on the industry, and the quality is exceptional. So I would say it's up to that standard. The devices we used every day, and the ease of use of the wireless.
Will the Safe 7 come in a Bitcoin-only model?
It does. It will, or it's coming actually. So exactly, we all have them in the pockets.
Yeah.
For those who might not understand why this matters, why does that matter?
So it is partially security, partially ethos, partially sort of brand because people are asking for it. So the combination of those. The security part, by the way, is not to scare anyone. It's not big. It's just the idea that when it's Bitcoin, it should be purely Bitcoin. But the security model and everything is the same as with the universal firmware as well. So there's no worries there. But those are the main reasons because, well, Bitcoiners are famously Bitcoin only. So that's sort of we want to fulfill that ask from the customers.
You mentioned before 3% of 600 million, right? So I have a question regarding that. I mean, it's maybe develop a bit more. Hardware wallets are niche, but so is crypto. Do you or do we need mass adoption of crypto to truly grow? I guess that the question is for Trezor, right? To truly grow, do we need mass adoption of crypto? Or is there already a lot of room for growth now? And maybe if there is a lot of room, because the answer is probably yes, what are the plans on this side to capture more than these 3%?
Right. So I would like to kind of see what is the definition of sort of maybe niche as a crypto, because I would maybe challenge it a little bit, because every year the crypto market grows by maybe another 100 million users, and soon we will be like 1/8 of the world is sort of on crypto in some ways. So I would say it's not as much of a niche any longer. The hardware wallet space, yeah, it is niche. I would agree with that. But also as the whole market is expanding, then so does our sort of addressable market, right? So and I think it's a good thing, obviously. So I would even say the biggest competition actually doesn't come from the direct competitors, but more the substitutes such as the ETFs and the illusion of an ownership and all those products.
I was basically thinking about the question regarding that. I was talking with the founder of Bitwise, ETF company, obviously, in the space, and he was telling me that one of the biggest Bitcoin OGs, 2000, the person who brought Bitcoin to Silicon Valley, they call him Silicon Valley patient number 1, Wences, who has billions of dollars in Bitcoin, actually recently transferred all his Bitcoin from his self-custody to the BlackRock ETF. What do we think about that?
I mean, I don't know the individual case. Obviously, there might be other reasons that I'm not familiar with.
There can be legal and tax reasons. Like, for example, some ETFs are exempted from whatever tax responsibilities. Could be that.
Yeah, I think in general, like the ethos and our mission is really to serve the individual. So like some individuals maybe have so much and whatever, they need to do certain things with it. But in generally, like it is more about, honestly, like everybody out there, that they have the tools to secure self-custody. And like billionaires do billionaire things. And I don't think that's representative for our industry so much. I think our industry is about the individual, also the normal person who is saving their wealth for their family or in the future, and that we give them the tools for them to be sovereign.
But we are happy to serve the individual billionaires as well.
Yes, and they are also allowed to self-custody.
Talking about this individual person to self-custody, what do you say if this individual person that is your basically target customer asks you, from Yana, Crypto Queen, how would you describe in the simplest way what makes Trezor unique compared to other self-custody wallets?
So I would say, sorry guys.
In the simplest way.
Okay. the ethos of open source and the commitment to the security, transparency, and ethos what truly self-custody is supposed to be about. I think that's really the biggest differentiator for us as a company in the world. And that it applies for, again, like our direct competitors as much as anything else out there as a substitutes offers. So that would be my take.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think we are a company that does try to serve the mainstream crypto audience, but we are like deeply ingrained with kind of cypherpunk DNA, which is also part what differentiates us from some of the competition, where we really are like hardcore focused on the principles of self-custody and driven by our Bitcoin history as well. And we have these principles, we can hold on to these principles as we are privately owned, we're not driven by venture capital money, where we do not look for the boundaries on like compromising on certain things that we should not.
I have another anonymous person here who seems to be a bit bothered. So the first question, there's two questions here. The first one is SLIP 39 integrated with Trezor Safe 7?
Sure, that's the multi-share backup that Mathieu was talking about, so yes.
And why a new standard if the old one, 12 words, is less complicated?
Well, it depends on what do you mean by less complicated, right? I mean, it is less words, it is 12 versus 20, that's true. But the SLIP 39, the 20 words backup gives you more options. It's basically the tool that gives you the ability to have number of shares, right? So you don't need just one set of 20 words. You can have 5 and do like 3 out of 5 setup, right? So, for example, you can give one to your wife, one to your sibling, one to your friend, and whatever. And only when they decide, they can put them together, and then it reconstructs the secret, right? So, long story short, it basically gives you abilities to work with the seed further.
I have a last question for each and every one of you. How would you describe the new device in one sentence?
Best in the market.
Sexy.
Proper flagship.
The best hardware wallet out there.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for listening,
Thank
for
you.
watching. If you have any question, our panelists will be around for the rest of the day, so you can feel free to stop and chat with anyone.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.